Hey everyone, are you ready for this?
Wow.
We're going deep on the Pi Network update. I know you guys are all probably super curious about this one. Pi Network, as you know, wants to make cryptocurrency accessible for everyone, so anyone can just mine it on their phone.
Mhm.
They're in this Mainnet testing phase now, and, well, this update has everyone talking.
Oh, it really has. There are a lot of interesting points with this update, but I think one of the big ones is this move from testnet to mainnet. This is a pretty significant shift, especially if you follow the crypto world. It signals this move from experimenting to a focus on real-world functionality.
Yeah, so it's less about mining Pi now and more about, being able to actually use it. I mean, that's a big deal, right?
Absolutely a big deal.
Yeah.
And with that comes some big questions. Like, for instance, they've introduced KYC verification with this update. Know your customer. Now, this is standard in crypto. It prevents fraud and makes things more secure. But for Pi Network specifically, it's,
Yeah.
well, I think it's essential if they want to be taken seriously.
Back to potential investors. Wait, so you're saying that KYC is about more than just verifying someone's identity. It's about Pi proving to everyone that, they're playing by the rules and being responsible.
Exactly. It's a signal to regulators, to possible partners, to the whole financial world, really.
Mm-hmm.
Pi Network is showing them that they want to operate within the established systems. And that could have a huge impact on whether or not they can get listed on those exchanges and, integrate with the financial systems that already exist.
Okay, yeah, that's something that a lot of Pi users are going to want to hear about. I mean, getting listed on exchanges, that means their Pi could actually have value out in the real world, right?
Well, that's the hope. But it's super important to remember, this KYC thing is going to take a while. They've got a ton of users and verifying everyone. It's going to take time. Some people might get verified quickly, but others might have to wait weeks or even months.
Yeah, so patience is key. It's like waiting for that game to come out that you've been looking forward to. But the stakes are a little higher here. But hey, while people wait, at least they can check out the new Pi wallet. They just launched that, right?
They did, the official Pi wallet. Another key part of this update. It lets people manage their Pi directly, within the whole Pi ecosystem. Gives them more control. It's a move towards self-custody, which many people in the crypto community think is a fundamental thing.
So they're moving away from needing to rely on third-party apps. It's starting to seem less like an experiment and more like a real cryptocurrency that people can use. What's the feeling been from the Pi community about all this? Is everyone happy about these changes?
You're always going to get mixed reactions whenever there's a big update, like with this one. Some users are super happy about this move to mainnet and about the KYC and the possibility that Pi will finally have an actual market value. They see it as a vindication, like their belief in the project has been justified.
Right, because they invested in it early on, and it's literally starting to gain traction.
That's it. But of course, then you have people who are maybe a little frustrated. They don't like waiting for the KYC verification. They might be feeling impatient, or maybe they just don't trust the process.
Yeah, I get that. Change can be a little unsettling, especially when it's something that could be as valuable as cryptocurrency. And honestly, some people just aren't convinced that Pi will be worth anything when it hits the exchanges.
That's the million-dollar question. Right now, Pi doesn't have an official price. And that makes people, it makes them feel a lot of things. You have some early adopters who think they're going to be rich, and then you have other people who are a lot more cautious. They're waiting to see if Pi has any real-world value.
So it's a little like we're standing at the edge of this huge unknown area. There's a lot of possibility, but also a lot of uncertainty. What do you think about all of this? I mean, you've been following crypto for a while now. Do you think Pi Network has what it takes?
That's a really interesting question, one that we should probably discuss a little further.
We were just talking about Pi's potential and the challenges that they're facing. It seems like they want to be adopted by the mainstream, but how do they plan on doing that? I mean, mining from your phone is one thing, but how do they make Pi actually useful? That seems like a pretty big challenge.
You're right. That is a very important point. If any currency is going to be successful, it needs to be more than just something people think about. Like, people need to be able to use it every day. Imagine using Pi to pay for your groceries or a coffee, or even like booking a flight using Pi. That's what real-world utility looks like. And that could be what takes it from a small project to something that everyone is using.
That reminds me of how it was when the internet first started. Everyone was excited about it, but it took a while before people figured out what to do with it, like what it was actually good for. We needed those real-world use cases to show people the internet's true potential.
That's a great comparison. I mean, with cryptocurrency, we're still in those early stages. We're still figuring out how to integrate it into our lives. And it seems like Pi Network gets that. They've been talking about how important those real-world use cases are.
Okay, so what could those look like? Are they talking about businesses accepting Pi?
Well, that's part of it. We're already seeing some smaller businesses and online platforms that are interested in accepting Pi. But it's more than that. Imagine these decentralized applications, we call them dApps, that are built on the Pi network, things like social media platforms, marketplaces, even like gaming ecosystems, all using Pi as their currency.
Hold on. Back up for a sec. For those of us who don't really know about the technical side of things, could you explain what a dApp is and why they're so important for Pi?
Sure. A dApp is basically a digital application, but it runs on a decentralized network, something like a blockchain. So that means it's not controlled by just one entity, like a company or a government or something. And for Pi, this could be huge. Having dApps built on their network, it creates this whole ecosystem where Pi isn't just used for buying and selling, but it powers a bunch of digital services and experiences.
Okay, so Pi Network wants to create their own little economy in the digital world. That's pretty ambitious. But let's be real, is it really going to be that easy to convince people to stop using their regular money or even those cryptocurrencies that have been around for a while, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and start using Pi instead?
Yeah, the crypto space is pretty competitive. But what Pi has going for it is that it's easy to use. Anyone can mine it on their phone. That's a huge advantage. It takes away those things that stop people from using other cryptocurrencies, like you don't need any special equipment or know a bunch of technical stuff.
So because it's so simple, Pi could attract a much bigger audience, especially in places where it's hard for people to access traditional financial services.
Exactly. Pi has the potential to give power to people and communities that have been excluded from the financial system. Imagine if anyone with a phone could be a part of the global digital economy. That's a powerful vision, and one that people really seem to connect with.
Yeah, I get it. It's a compelling vision. But even if it's easy to access and focused on being useful, there's still that question of trust. Can Pi Network really gain the confidence of the whole financial world?
That's the big challenge for any new cryptocurrency. Trust is the most important thing. Pi Network needs to be open about how it works, make sure its network is secure, and prove that it's committed to following the rules.
So it's more than just building a cool new technology. It's about making sure people trust it and proving that Pi can be responsible in the global financial system.
That's exactly it. The fact that they're implementing KYC, that's a good sign. It shows that they're serious about security and compliance, but they need to keep going, working with regulators, and showing that they're willing to play by the rules.
It seems like a make-or-break moment for Pi Network. There's so much potential, but also so much uncertainty. For our listeners who are following this, what should they be looking for in the next few months? What are the signs that Pi is going in the right direction?
There are a few things. First, pay attention to how quickly and how well they roll out KYC. That needs to go smoothly if they want to get new users and build trust. Second, look for those real-world use cases. We need to see businesses using Pi and dApps being built on their network. And third, pay attention to any partnerships. Or if they integrate with big players in the tech and finance world, working with well-known organizations, would show that Pi is legit and that important players are taking them seriously.
So they need to show results.
Right. The next few months are going to be really important for Pi Network. They have this amazing chance to change the cryptocurrency world with their mobile-first way of doing things. But they need to follow through on their plans and build a strong foundation for growth.
This has been really interesting. We've talked about a lot with the Pi Network, from the excitement about their update to the difficulties of being accepted by the mainstream.
It's definitely a developing story. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months and years.
So before we go, here's something for our listeners to think about. What if Pi Network's vision of this mobile accessible cryptocurrency actually comes true? How could that change the world of finance? Could we see a future where mobile cryptocurrencies give individuals and communities power in ways that we can't even imagine right now?
That's a great question. One that we could spend a lot of time discussing, but we'll have to save that for another time.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive into that question. What happens if Pi Network actually becomes a big deal? What could it mean for the whole world of cryptocurrency?
It really gets you thinking, right? I mean, if Pi actually does make it to the mainstream, it could really shake things up in the crypto world.
Okay, so what would that look like?
Well, think about how people see cryptocurrency now. Like, it's mainly for people who know a lot about tech or people with a ton of money to invest. But Pi's way of doing things, where you can mine it on your phone, that totally changes things. It makes cryptocurrency something anyone can get into. whether you know about tech or have money or not.
So it could open up the world of cryptocurrency to a whole new group of people.
Exactly. It could give millions or even billions of people financial opportunities that they've never had before. Think about it. Someone in a village with no bank could suddenly be part of a global digital economy, all because of their phone. That's the kind of impact Pi Network could have.
That's incredible. But let's not get too excited. Pi has some big challenges to overcome if they want to get there. Scalability, security, regulations, those are some serious obstacles.
Very true. Getting a cryptocurrency ready to handle millions or billions of users, that's a huge job. Pi Network will need to make sure they can handle all those transactions and keep their network safe and stable.
And then you've got the whole issue of regulations, which always seem to be changing. Governments everywhere are still figuring out how to deal with cryptocurrency.
Right. And for Pi Network to be successful long-term, they'll need to be able to navigate that complexity. Following financial regulations is key for any cryptocurrency project. That's how you build trust and make sure the project can survive. Pi Network needs to find that balance between innovating and playing by the rules.
So for our listeners who are interested in Pi Network, but also aware of the challenges, what should they be looking for as this all plays out? What are the signs that Pi is on the right track?
Well, I'd say watch how they deal with those challenges.
Makes sense.
First, how well do they handle a growing number of users? Can their system keep up? Second, what are they doing to make their network secure? What specific actions are they taking? And third, how are they working with regulators? Are they showing that they want to comply? Those are the things they'll tell you, whether Pi is all talk or if they're making real progress.
This deep dive into the Pi Network has been incredibly interesting. We've covered a lot, from the excitement around their new update to the challenges they face.
It's a story that's still unfolding, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next.
Well, on that note, it's time to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Pi Network. We'll be keeping an eye on things. And we'll be back with more insights as they develop. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions.